Stephen Lowe worked at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville and had been a correction officer with the State Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for nearly 3 years. He was married and with his wife had 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. On October 15, 2008, 39-year-old Stephen Lowe was shot in the driveway of his home in South Sacramento, California, while getting ready to leave for work. At the time, Stephen's wife was studying in their family room and heard commotions coming from the garage. She went to check on her husband, but found him lying on the ground. She immediately called 911. When police arrived at the scene, they found Stephen lying near his garage. He had suffered a gunshot wound to the head. Stephen was immediately taken to the hospital, where he later died. At the time of Stephen's murder, he had been having an affair with a woman named Chia Vu, Deputy Chu Vu's wife. Chia worked alongside Stephen at the California Medical Facility, an all-male prison facility in Vacaville. Chu Vu was a jealous husband and decided to go after his wife's lover. Knowing his wife was having an affair, but not knowing who it was with, Chu went through his wife's phone bills and zeroed in on Stephen Lowe. He then illegally used the sheriff's department's computers to gather any information he possibly could about Stephen. During the investigation, they tracked Chu's activities and even found surveillance footage of his personal vehicle circling the block that Stephen lived on just days before his murder. However, Chu had an alibi. He was working the morning of the murder and had called his wife several times that morning. He was even calling Chia the moment Stephen was shot. It took several months of digging and carefully inspecting cellular data for investigators to discover what had happened to Stephen Lowe. For months, Chu had been working with his brothers Chong and Gary Vu to plot Stephen's murder. They used prepaid cell phones and multiple bank accounts to cover their tracks. In 2010, former Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Chu Vu went on trial for orchestrating the murder of Stephen Lowe. The trial lasted more than a month and involved dozens of witnesses, phone records, bank withdrawals, and surveillance video. Chu Vu was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During his trial, it was determined that his motive for killing Stephen Lowe was that his wife had been having an affair with him.
Guilty as charged, the former Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy is guilty of planning, funding, and masterminding the murder of his wife's lover.
A jury convicted Vu of masterminding the plot to kill Lowe in October 2008. Lowe was having an affair with Vu's wife. Lowe's widow, in her statement, said her husband wasn't perfect, but he was her security blanket and a wonderful father.
Chu was also found guilty of being an accessory to a felony, harboring a fugitive, and illegally accessing another person's data.
Even though the jury convicted me with circumstantial evidence, I am innocent, and I'm going to wait in prison for my appeal. There's nothing I can do because I don't have anything to do with Steve's murder, and I just want to let the court know that I am innocent.
He's a piece of I despise that man. You know, if he fess up, I'll bet a different emotion towards him, but he's nothing to me.
Chu's brothers Chong and Gary Vu also received convictions of first-degree murder and were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Gary was also handed an extra 20 years on top of his life sentence as an enhancement. Yeah, man, infidelity is very prominent amongst these correctional officers. I did 10 years in California prison and I seen it amongst them, you know what I'm saying? They be doing that shit. Sometimes, man, that shit be turning out bad. There was one point in time I remember this female who had worked at, I'm not gonna say what prison, but anyways, she was young, she started working there, and rumor was that the sergeants and a couple other cats, they was sleeping with her, and she ended up committing suicide in the parking lot. And it was big news, you know what I'm saying? But they don't talk about why she killed herself there at work. She was new and all that, but man, that's how it is over there. It's dirty, man, I'm telling you. And I'm not saying all the COs get down like that. I'm not saying all of them are dirty like that. But a lot of these dudes, man, they get down dirty. Anyways, Officer Chu, I don't know what he was thinking. He should have just went ahead and left his wife. He threw his life away. He got his brothers involved. Now, 3 of his brothers were involved. A couple of them got life sentences. You know, it's over with for them. And I don't know how they feel about the whole thing, but it looks like Chu is in denial still. You know, he's trying to get his appeal or whatever, but I'm not saying he ain't innocent, but I'm just saying the evidence is crazy, right? Mr. Lowe's wife, she's a savage though, you know what I mean? She ride with her husband, you know. I know a lot of people might disagree with her because the fact that her husband was supposedly cheating on her with Lowe's wife, right? But she's a rider for her husband, you know what I mean? She's like, he might have made mistakes, he wasn't a perfect man and shit, but he was good to the kids or whatever. She had his back and she was just like, man,
He's a piece
straight up. But anyways, I'm sure those COs are dogging the shit out of him in there in prison. So before you guys make any decisions, you know, out of anger or out of sadness or whatever it may be, or depression, really take time, man. Give yourself a breather. Give it a day or two to just let it pass, you know, because most of the times problems just work themselves out. Y'all know what it is. Stay the fuck out of trouble.